Read the feed regarding my airplane logs and Hawaiian tropic contest. Have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. It's like slapstick. And in the meantime, Jesus fucking Christ. Every time it's like, yeah, the Epstein files, okay. There may have been, I think there is a collection of files, a collection of documents and dossier or whatever that people were referring to as the Epstein files that hasn't technically released. But with the emails that recently dropped, the Epstein files basically got released. Like, that's basically the Epstein files dropped, right? And of course, it happened on a day when I was not streaming, which is unfortunate. But you know, it happens. And I actually wanted to. This stream is going to be for two things and two things only. This is the first major one. They showed it in a meeting, and one employee. What? No, this was released by the House of Representatives Oversight Committee. Like this was congressional Democrats and Republicans released these emails. I think the initial wave of a few of them were released by the Democrats, and then the Republicans were like, all right, shit, we may as well release the rest of them too. And then the Republicans released something like 10 to 20,000 emails, many of which name drop Donald Trump specifically as doing some absolutely diabolical shit. And I want to take a look at them. We'll go one at a time, right? In fact, look, there's so much to go through, right? I have a CNBC article up. Was this before the Supreme Court voting thing? No, this is after. The Supreme Court declined to hear the case about gay marriage, I think. So gay marriage will remain constitutional for now. So that's nice. But no, this is I think this is or no, did you mean the shadow docket? In which case I think this is before this was no, this was still after the shadow docket, I think. Where the Supreme Court decided, like, yeah, Trump can do what he wants or whatever. Let me have a look at this. I'm gonna sell 2 items from my inventory, and then we're gonna look at just a Twitter search. There's so much material in these emails. I feel like it's probably the best thing I can do to give you guys an idea of what is going on with these fucking emails between Epstein, Trump, and like a million other powerful people, is to just bring up this search that I had queued up on Twitter and go through these like a few at a time. So we have here, again, these are all screenshots. Months before his death, Epstein said in an email he was the only one who could take down Trump. Then he died in custody while the cameras were dark. This is going to be a recurring theme, but the consensus has now developed as a result of these emails. It's basically soft confirmed that Donald Trump or somebody in Trump's inner circle had Jeffrey Epstein killed to prevent him from like actually bringing some sort of legal consequences to bear against Donald Trump for all the pedophilia that they got up to for fun, smiley face. It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that. From somebody, I guess the name is redacted. Yes, thanks, it's wild because I'm the only one able to take him down. This is from Jeffrey Epstein. Here we go, from Democratic Party shill, Brian Tyler Cohen. Ghislaine Maxwell lied about Trump never going to Epstein's house, directly contradicting her email correspondence with Epstein, and she was rewarded for that lie with a transfer to a cushier prison, where she's being waited on hand over foot, apparently. The cover-up is happening in plain sight. And this is a screenshot of another infamous email I want you to realize that again, from Jeffrey Epstein, I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Redacted victim spent hours at my house with him. An unnamed victim spent hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house, which is bugged and, recorded to high heaven with Donald Trump. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. I think he just means I'm 75% sure of this thing that I said, but he's talking about like Trump being one of the people who hasn't squealed yet or something like that, who hasn't like flipped on him. Here's another one. Jeffrey Epstein email. Recall I've told you I've met some very bad people and none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body, so yes, dangerous. This is... Okay, as much as it seems like this is your typical liberal Trump bad type shit, which given that this person posting this has a Canadian flag in their bio, it very well might be from them, but I think the significance of this email is Jeffrey Epstein saying basically like, yeah, I run a pedophile, like, child sex trafficking ring, and there is no pedophile that I've ever known that's as evil as Donald Trump, basically, is what he's saying here. Jeffrey Epstein saying like, oh yeah, this guy's evil even by my standards. Like, he is evil. Kind of like how Trump would say like, oh, real estate guys are real mean or whatever, and it's like, you would know. Here's Jay Aubrey. I think I recognize this guy. Maybe. Power of protection, sorcery, many such cases. In another email, Epstein refers to Trump. This is the most insane one, I think. Almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool. He was so focused, he walked straight into the door. When they say young women, this is like underage girls. Read the feed regarding my airplane logs and Hawaiian tropic contest. Have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. You couldn't write this in fucking Looney Tunes. Well, actually, you could. Imagine some Looney Tunes Wile E. Coyote type shit, and then fuse that with Blazing Saddles. That's this. Donald Trump legitimately was so fixated on like 14-year-old girls or some shit swimming in a swimming pool that he was laser focused. He was walking over towards them and ran his face straight into a glass window or glass door. Yeah. And left a nose print. It's like slapstick. Also, shout outs. There's a New York Times reporter that has connections to Epstein. Very good. New York Times, also a deeply evil organization, so that doesn't really surprise me. I can believe it. He has the intellect of a wild animal. Yeah. Reminds me of that one host that was talking about a barely legal 15-year-olds. Do you have the link to that? Can you link that? Whenever I see a piece of paper with black box, I think of SCPs. That might be the most Zoomer thing you've posted. We're both Zoomers. Like, autism to autism communication right now, but seeing a redacted bar and being like, oh shit, it's like the SCP Foundation is really funny to me and extremely Zoomer coded. Because you like, anytime documents are released from the federal government, you tend to see these in varying quantities, but like, this is how they censor sensitive information. Like, that's just a thing. In fact, that's where SCP got it from. But yes, again, if you have the link to that host, that like a video clip or whatever of that host that was talking about quote unquote barely legal 15-year-olds, please link that. I'll pause. I'll take a break there and keep playing the game a little bit because I want to take this like one at a time. I need to take breaks between doses of like the online pedophile email drops, right? Like, I can't just blitz that shit all at once. And I am kind of building towards something as well. I'll start my analysis now, which is like, this ubiquitously looks bad for Trump all across the board to such an extent that like even the extreme right-wing like content moguls can't fucking spin it to make it look good. They have resorted to simply reading people's accusations in like a incredulous voice or whatever, and then scoffing and be like, guys, get serious, and moving on without even saying that's not true. Like, their goose is pretty damn cooked. If, and this is a big if they remain connected to Donald Trump, right? This gets into the territory of surely old Donny Boy can't wriggle his way out of this one, but I think it's no longer Donald Trump who's trying to wriggle out of the situation. Rather, it's the Republican Party trying to wriggle out from Donald Trump. And I think this presents a serious opportunity, especially with, I think, the discharge petition for, it was either these emails or various other documents or whatever. That's what you get for connecting your movement to one guy. Kind of. It's also what you get for connecting your entire movement to the one of the most pedophilic men in America. And in the world, I would dare say, even. So, you know, deserved Lamau. Oh. What's this? Oh. More story progression. Distinction without a difference? Yeah, pretty much. Aw, it's been just cute. Oh yeah, this is how you learn about Ho-Oh and the legendary dogs. Now I think about it, do Pokemon have bedbugs? No, because the bedbugs would also be Pokemon. It'd be just like Lediba. So I don't think so. Seriously, Gotron, please, if you can link the a post or video with the post talking about barely legal 15-year-olds, please do so. Please drop the link in the chat. I want to take a look at that. Because this is like, I feel like that's essential to understand just how deep of political shit the MAGA coalition is after their like dear leader all of a sudden is like #1 pedophile. Not just in the sense that it's an open secret and we all know, but now it's like the elephant in the room is way too big to go unaddressed. Because there are 20,000 emails that just dropped where it's like full of Jeffrey Epstein and whoever else talking about how like, oh yeah, Trump hangs out with me all the time, haha, and shit like that. And and specific details of all the child rape that Donald Trump has gotten up to. Okay, so I'm not going to go do that side quest. What I am going to do is put some money back. I'm going to buy a friend area. H chamber. Now that I have both of these, I should be able to go to the unknown dungeon. I'll take Mystic Lake too. I will not add another friend area because I don't have enough money. I will put my remaining money back. Okay, thank you. In the beginning of... Okay. Alright, it might take a little bit for me to find it. Oh, is it the Megyn Kelly clip? Okay. Let me then... I don't know where the original video is. That's okay. Here, hold on. Megyn Kelly... Okay. Is it this? Is this the video you're thinking of? With the what was it? This woman who says she's like a MAGA leftist? Paper thin grift, by the way. Yes? Okay, perfect. Okay, so I can take a look at that. Let me just do a little bit more work in Mystery Dungeon to, well, work being in air quotes. I'm gonna get ready to go back, I think, to Solar Cave, maybe? So I can get the HM for Waterfall or something like that. How much of a contradiction? I'm on the left, I support Trump. Yeah, it's like... it is a very interesting window into how little the right wing understands about politics, that they sort of... The politics of the right, particularly, the lowest common denominator, the MAGA base, is driven by emotional narrative, pure emotional narrative, not, you know, with no factual grounding underneath it, and personal allegiance, you know? So that basically, they think that it's possible to be like a leftist, to pretend to be part of this other political group, but have this affinity for Trump or something. Genuinely, on a certain level, it is actually hard for me to understand how they would believe that somebody else would believe that, or hold such a set of political positions. I don't know. I guess it's the same kind of, it's kind of like they're trying to start at the end of the Why I Left the Left pipeline, right? You know how Dave Rubin, I guess his full name is David, but nobody calls him that. Dave Rubin used to be liberal, as in like center left, but then had this whole Why I Left the Left arc, and eventually ended up on the right and was sort of the token gay guy on the right that tried to say, oh, well, the left is actually so mean and the real supporters of gay rights are the right. And I think that what this MAGA leftist lady is trying to do is basically say, oh, well, the people, the Democrats aren't the real leftists. Real leftists like me support Donald Trump and coincidentally agree with all of these far-right political positions. It's like a legendarily incompetent version of what Nazis and Nazbols and Stalinists did, which is pretend to be on the left. But she hasn't put in any effort to make the grift like even remotely believable. She started at the end of the grift. She doesn't, like, I don't know, she might not know, or maybe she doesn't care, that there's an entire song and dance where you have to actually pretend to have certain left-wing beliefs and pretend to not, like if you're doing that grift, you have to pretend to actually be on the left. You have to put up a better showing than what she's done. You can't just start at the finish line. You know, it's like starting at the finish line and saying, guys, look, I ran this whole marathon. No, you just wanted to hang out at the finish line. It's okay to hang out at the finish line with other people spectating, but nobody's going to believe you ran the marathon. Does that make sense? I don't know. The overly detailed explanation of that MAGA leftist lady. But now I guess I'm going to take one more look actually at this guidebook to see what I got to do. Oh no, wait, I can actually go to Northern Range. So I'll just put this HM Surf away, then save the game again. But once I do that, we can look at the video of Megyn Kelly and this insane MAGA leftist, even less interesting of a grift than MAGA communists, right? Because MAGA communists at least had as their vanguard, like, political leader Haz Infrared, who was actually decently well read and put up a reasonably strong veneer of like being some sort of purveyor of leftist theoretical thought or something like that. Still a grift, but nonetheless, you don't hear about him much anymore. I wonder what he's up to. Let's have a look. Do I full screen or just zoom in? I think I probably just zoom in. I really don't like full screening. So I will do this. Unfortunately, this zooms in on all my other Chrome tabs as well, so I'll have to remember to zoom out. What do we got? Republican accountability. This is a random anti-Republican Party Twitter account, of which there are a few. Very possible that it's affiliated with the Democratic Party in some instance. Nonetheless, they tend to post Republicans hanging themselves with a length of rope completely unprompted. So, from Megyn Kelly, I know somebody very close to this case. Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. We are, okay. He was into barely legal type, like he liked 15-year-old girls. He wasn't into like 8-year-olds. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. We have actually reached critical mass. Megyn Kelly is a mainstream conservative. In fact, she was kind of, in the first Trump term, she was back and forth on whether or not she wanted to be anti-Trump. She's always wanted to appear as one of the more reasonable Republicans. This is one of the more reasonable, supposedly moderate, or at least not extreme far-right Republicans, like talking heads, offering up the "it's just a pedophilia, isn't it?" argument for Jeffrey Epstein, John Pedophilia himself. Barely legal should be illegal. This is not even barely legal. This is pedophilia. She is defending pedophilia by saying, like, it's barely legal. No, bitch, that is very illegal. The barely legal archetype or whatever, still gross, by the way, refers to like 18 and 19-year-olds who still look very young. Like you could potentially in your head mix them up with somebody who's 17 or 16. That's what barely legal actually is. Oh yeah, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a pedophile. He's into 15-year-old girls. It's not like he was into 8-year-olds. I don't think she's done any research. I don't think she cares. I think people like this are just evil. Anyways, let's have a listen.
As for Epstein, I've said this
That's really loud.
before, but just as a reminder.
I'm going to have it at like negative 21. There we go. Imagine if we caught Trump saying this. It's only a matter of time until he says it, I think. Okay, that day is gonna be glorious. I think the day that he says that is the day that it's well and truly cemented that, okay, the Republican Party's moving on. Trump is no longer in the political spotlight. He's no longer expedient for Republicans. And we are very soon going to be seeing a post-Donald Trump Republican Party. Anyways, let's hear Megyn Kelly defend pedophilia by looking at a guy who was into 15-year-olds and saying, yeah, that's not pedophilia, actually. And if you try to explain how it's like ephebophilia or some shit, you are a pedophile. Thank you. I will not be taking questions.
Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything.
Scroll down
and this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there.
Okay. Let's start already. For those not cued in, which I imagine most people will be cued in to a certain degree, nobody said this. Or if somebody said this, this is not even remotely the reason that she's saying this. For all we know, and I intend to assume, she's making this up. Yes, Gotron, that is exactly right. This is my opinion, but I realize that this is a fucking nuclear hot take. Right? Like this take is so nuclear that my ass will be in prison or under like some sort of degree of surveillance if I say it. So I'm going to pretend that it was somebody else that said it and simply air an unnamed third party's opinion and put my hands up like I'm washing my hands of the matter. This is okay. Unironically, this is where media literacy comes in clutch. This is what she thinks. She is ideologically pro-pedophilia. She legitimately does not see a problem with being into like 15-year-old girls. But again, she knows that she'll get fucking cooked if she says that. She got cooked even for saying this. But she realizes, okay, I probably have to phrase it as though I'm not the person with this opinion.
There for a lot of this. But that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls.
You know, instances like this make me very tempted to call the cops on somebody and be like, this person is a fucking pedophile and admitted it on their show. But then I realized that the police are also pedophiles. And then I realized that that's probably a bad idea.
And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you
sure.
facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were.
So by your own admission, they're into kids. But
would look legal to a passerby. And that is
that's not what barely legal is. That's not what that is. Okay. Do I even need to say anything? How much do I need to say to this, really? I think this person is evil and porn brain poison. You're probably correct. I imagine you're almost certainly correct about the like their brain has been poisoned by maybe not pornography, but the biases that lead to people's brains being poisoned by porn. You know, like
what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse.
Dude, this is making me wince. I do remember when that was like the term for it, but I remember now. This has caught me flat-footed, but I remember what I wanted to say now. Why would you post this? Imagine being the other lady. She doesn't care. She's just, this is the MAGA leftist lady. She doesn't care. She's just as evil as Megyn Kelly. But I gotta ask, Megyn Kelly, why did you post this? Why did you think it was a good idea to post this? I assume she has to keep up a public appearance. Who? Megyn Kelly? MAGA leftist lady over here? Which one? It would have been more effective for their public image to not post anything at all. There is such a thing as bad publicity.
Abuse material on his computer.
Why? Okay. I'm not even gonna say that, like, thing that she just called CSAM, but, like, why would you just offer that? Why would you post any of this?
For the first time, I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on...
And, okay, this is...
young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it.
This is the point where it becomes obvious what they're actually trying to do. All of that shit that she dug up on herself for no reason cost her $0 not to post this. She is trying to now draw the line that, like, you know, being into, she is trying to say that, oh, being into 15-year-olds is one thing, but being into, like, 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds is another. I mean, you could split hairs over it, but that's pedophilia still? That's not actually, that's a distinction without a difference. That is pedophilia. And of course, they're trying to, like, this is obviously the reason you do media. The reason you do a political talk show is to try to convince your audience of something. And what she's trying to convince her audience of, what she's trying to convince you of, if you're watching this, she's trying to tell you, hey, being into 15-year-olds is not pedophilia.
I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but...
And even amidst all this, she's having to throw her hands up and be like, I don't know. The government keeps lying about that, so Democrats are losing to this? Right now, actually, no, they're not. Despite Democrats' best efforts in the whole shutdown debacle, now everybody is looking at Trump and the Republicans again for all the Epstein files related bullshit. After all these, like, thousands of emails dropped, and for shit like this, Democrats and Republicans are having a fucking mid-off or whatever the fuck. And Republicans are, they're having a contest for who's more evil, and the Republicans are easily winning that contest, and the Democrats are probably mauling and seething because they nothing they could do could make them lose hard enough to overcome some shit like this. The president of the United States is into little girls, and there are tens of thousands of emails confirming that. And it's now like a hot news item that the Trump government is running a protection racket for the most powerful pedophiles in the world. In comparison, the Democrats gave up during the legislative fight for a government shutdown. You know, too bad bitches and all that, but it's like we're comparing a tactical nuke to the fucking Tsar Bomba, right? We're comparing a tactical nuke that could maybe level a couple of blocks, right, to the Tsar Bomba, which could probably erase the largest metropolitan area in the world off the map single-handedly. I genuinely don't think that there's anything that the Democrats could do that would make them look worse, and that doesn't also implicate the entire Republican Party. I think we're at a point where something has to happen, TM. Like, it's too big of a drop for no political shift to come as a result of this, right? Because, like, this being associated with a political brand is just completely, it's so hopelessly toxic that, like, you will never touch power again.
We have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under.
That, are you sure? Okay. Are you positive that's the line you want to draw? You really want to draw the line that, like, oh, at least he didn't rape 8-year-olds. That's what you're going with. Yeah, raping 15-year-olds is fine and all, according to Megyn Kelly and the Republicans here. But 8-year-olds is too far. And, honestly, like, and they're saying, in that department, Jeffrey Epstein is fine. They are actually in the fucking Jeffrey Epstein did nothing wrong timeline. That's what she's trying to inch towards here.
When I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
It is. And you're a pedophile for asserting that that's a meaningful difference insofar as child sexual abuse. You're getting put in the fucking slammer for that either way.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah. It's just whatever.
Phenomenal. Thank you. Isn't this illegal? Unfortunately, this is not illegal. However, unfortunately, being ideologically pro-pedophilia is not illegal. However, being a pedophile and having acted on that is illegal. So unless she gets caught with some of that shit on her hard drive, she has unfortunately not committed any crime here. She's condoning a crime in oh, wait, actually, that might be illegal. Not that the law matters, right? We know that, like, the powerful can fucking escape legal accountability with ease. But this is a barely veiled, hardly putting up the effort to veil it at all. But yes, I guess you're right. She is, in fact, condoning the crime of child sexual abuse on her show on Sirius XM. Saying that, like, if you're older than 15, then it's fine, actually. It's not fine. Just to clarify, I know that there are some people that get this fucking subject twisted, all the fucking age of consent libertarians out there, but yeah, condoning a crime live on air. Great. Thank you, Megyn Kelly. Very cool. I'm sure she'll never face legal punishment for this, unfortunately. But her and her ilk, honestly, need to, like, people like this genuinely test my belief in the concept of rehabilitation. I feel like people like this, not like as crazy as it sounds to say, doesn't necessarily apply to your garden variety pedophile. People with this much power who have been ideologically moved into being so pro-pedophilia that they will advocate for it deserve to be locked up and have the key thrown away. Like, you legitimately, I feel like there are too many social contradictions here for you to be allowed to interact with society in a meaningful capacity. And these are the people that run the whole fucking government just in this country and, like, most other countries in the world. There is such a thing as people too far gone. Yeah, and the reason that they're too far gone is because of the fucking sheer amount of power and wealth that they are accustomed to, and the amount of control over society that they are accustomed to, the lack of consequence that they are accustomed to facing, you know? But at the same time, precisely because most people are not this, because most people are actually not ideologically pro-pedophilia, as crazy as it sounds, even most of the MAGA political base, political coalition, the day-to-day persons, unless you are powerful enough and wealthy enough to be, like, ideologically pro-pedophilia and to engage in that shit regularly with, like, Epstein. Yeah, what we are looking at here, this is rare. This is truly a rare phenomenon. Even as reactionary as people are, as part of, like, a reactionary political party, a lot of them actually are anti-pedophilia. They do not believe that pedophilia is good, actually. You know? And the reason I mention that is to emphasize how much this is going to fucking tear the Republican base to shreds. You know? And that's what I mean when I say that, like, there has to be some sort of seismic political shift that comes from this. Trump is the biggest name that's implicated in these files, in these emails, right? So there's got to be a reckoning with regards to his position in the political party, that is the Republicans. And every Republican is not necessarily implicated in the Epstein files. For example, Mike Johnson, as much as he might actually be ideologically pro-pedophilia, he hates gay people, he has all sorts of really weird fucking very gooner-coded porn-watching habits that he engages in with his son. Cool, probably don't announce that to the media next time. Mike Johnson is not in the Epstein files. He is actually not old enough, I don't think, to have been in those social circles at the time when Jeffrey Epstein was running that pedophile trafficking ring. Mike Johnson, on a purely interpersonal level, might not be guilty of anything there. And the reason I bring that up is to stipulate that he's kind of representative of the new wave of the Republican Party insofar as the politicians there. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, I don't think would be implicated in those files either. Again, on the quote-unquote younger side for politicians, new guard of the Republican Party. Some of the old guard might be implicated. You know, your Marco Rubios, your fucking, maybe your Rand Pauls, your Chuck Schumers almost certainly. Definitely your Bill Clintons, your Hillary Clintons, you know, those types of people. But I think the Republican Party is about tired of being sort of chained to the legacy of Donald Trump being America's number one pedophile, right? And that's going to hurt them electorally. And of course, from the neoliberal fascist politician perspective that we want to win elections and bureaucratically secure anti-democratic control of the country, it's usually not a good look for your political party if you are like stitched at the hip to a president who is into 14-year-olds. Yeah, the new Republicans really don't like the older guard of the Republicans for getting caught with this stuff. You know, because that hurts them. It's not like they care that much about pedophilia as a political matter. Like I said, they are fascists and grifters, the whole lot of them. But that has implications for how they treat the old guard of the Republican Party and whether they're willing to seriously consider working with them as part of their political coalition advancing through the 21st century, especially considering that the old guard of Republicans, in order to be that old guard, you have to be fucking old, you know? It's not like the old guard of just some random office environment where it would be like 40 and 50 something year old office workers who are like the old guard, and then the new hires are like in their 20s and 30s and stuff. You know, that sort of thing as more people enter the workforce. No, this is politics. And America has a distinct political problem with politicians being distinctly and significantly older on average than the average person, the average worker at a like random place of employment, and even than politicians in other countries. So when we talk about the old guard, we're talking about people in their 70s and 80s. Even 90s, maybe the occasional person in their 60s, but the new guard is at oldest in their 60s, and probably more towards the, like, probably more of them would be in their 40s and 50s, which again would put them, for the most part, outside of the social circles that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were running in the 1990s. So you imagine they're pretty tired of this. Yeah, they're like, I'm fucking sick and tired of defending you because that looks bad for me. That's bad for my career. It's actually kind of like a more cutthroat version of what the Democratic Party establishment does. You know? It's like a different kind of careerism. And Republicans, the new wave of Republicans, your Mike Johnsons or whatever. I don't imagine they would be very keen to let pedophilia stand in the way of their political ambitions. uh, you know, Within their political tent or otherwise. Hopefully, that analysis made a lick of sense. Once I advance up the stairs to the next floor in this dungeon, I will take a look actually at the CNBC article that I pulled up for the same matter. Uh, Poison Sting could be good. I think I'll get rid of Focus Energy. Poison Sting is actually good in this game, unlike most other Pokemon games. Although good being like kind of relative, it's usable. Oh, it has Insomnia. Okay. I already have a Hoot Hoot on my team. I happen to know that for sure. Okay. CNBC time. Or not CNBC, excuse me, just NBC. I always see the logo and think CNBC because NBC isn't worth shit, but nonetheless. Jeffrey Epstein emails, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and more. The newly released Epstein documents show the late sex offender called Trump's business practices dirty and exchanged emails with Andrew about the allegations against him. Really, NBC, you're not going to get any more specific than that. You're not going to, say that like this exposes tons of people as complicit in this child sex trafficking ring. Really interesting. I wonder what could be motivating you to bury the lead even remotely. Emails released by the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday show Jeffrey Epstein sounding off on Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and more. Late sex offender was highly critical of Trump and said he knew about the girls, but didn't directly accuse him of any wrongdoing. Emails also show Epstein saying Clinton had never been to his private island, despite Trump's claims to the contrary. One of them is lying here. I actually don't think that Trump is lying here. Or hang on. Trump may be literally lying, but Epstein is spiritually lying, right? To walk you through what I mean, even if the Clintons, or I guess Bill Clinton here, had never been to Little St. James, there are photos of Donald Trump and Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in the same picture at a party organized by Jeffrey Epstein. And there are pictures of both of them with Jeffrey Epstein. So Donald Trump might be making up that like they went to the island, but it's like it's probably more false in its insinuation if you say they've never been to Little St. James, because you would have to like immediately accompany that with, but they've been to a number of Epstein's like child sex trafficking parties. Epstein did not accuse Trump. I wonder if there could be any reason that he doesn't like directly accuse people of wrongdoing, if he's like not ready to fucking sick the authorities on them yet. NBC, I wonder if there's any motivation you can fucking have for taking these words at such face value that you come off as completely dumb for not understanding that like if you're running a goddamn protection racket, you don't expose people in your communications where you're not ready to expose them yet. Probably a number of executives of various news organizations, being subject to some of the same age biases as politicians in America, are likely also implicated in this sex trafficking ring, but want to keep it like a lid on it as best they can. That's probably why they're reporting like this. Like, that's the only conceivable reason that you would be simultaneously downplaying both Clinton and Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Imagine what they would say if it was only the Democrats implicated. Oh, they would let so much more loose. Epstein disputes Trump's Mar-a-Lago account. I don't give a single shit. It's just more of NBC saying, oh yeah, Trump actually didn't do anything wrong, but we can't say that because we know he did. So we're going to simply air that like Epstein didn't directly say Trump fucked all the girls at my house or something. Criticizes dirty business practices. Literally the least criticism amount of criticism that you could give of Trump. Where is the interesting email thing that I saw? Okay. Epstein said about Trump in 2018, I'm the one able to take him down. In December 2018, a text exchange with Epstein, someone whose name was redacted in the document, wrote, "It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can." Oh yeah, we saw this. That was in the Twitter search response. So Epstein is saying, yeah, I have dirt on him that will be able to take him down. And given what we've seen Trump survive, the dirt that Epstein has on Trump is, in all likelihood, video and audio of him molesting and raping children. Don't care about that. The Duke discuss Virginia Giuffre for blackmail purposes. Yeah. The Duke. This is probably yeah. This is in reference to Prince Andrew. Recently been stripped of his titles and Duke of York, of Prince and Duke of York, over his association with Epstein. El Bozo. Okay, this one's great just to get the official news rubber stamp confirmation on this, which, by the way, directly contradicts the fact that Trump is not in any way like involved with Epstein because of the implication here. NYT financial reporter Landon Thomas Jr. wrote in an email to Epstein in December 2015 that people are coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump. Oh yeah, just a random NYT reporter, by the way, that has connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing unusual here. In response, Epstein wrote, have them ask my houseman. Okay, have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight in the door. Again, in reference to like 14, 15-year-olds. Incredibly funny, but also have them ask, literally like Access Journalism, New York Times being in bed with Jeffrey Epstein, so to speak, pun not really intended. Remember when they said there are no Epstein files? Oh yeah, remember when the Trump administration said, guys, there's no Epstein files? And remember when many mainstream news organizations were like, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Don't fucking speculate onto, the broader social connections and pedophile, like racketeering and sex trafficking that Jeffrey Epstein could have gotten up to. It's all alleged, guys. You're, crazy conspiracy theorist for implying that powerful people could be implicated in this powerful people pedophile ring. And it's not like one of those things where people are actually, it's not one of those things where there's a genuine problem of conspiracism around that. There's way worse problems of conspiracism in other areas of politics, I assure you. This is just a matter of them being specifically implicated if people get more politically interested in the connections that Jeffrey Epstein had to people in the government and various business leaders and journalists and press outlets. So, nonetheless, incredibly funny. This is 100% confirmed that Trump is so much of a pedophile. He saw young girls and couldn't help himself and was so fucking fixated that he walked straight into a glass door. More implications of Prince Andrew. Thank you. You love to see it. But that's all I was really interested in the NBC article for, is the corroboration that, yes, Donald Trump, in fact, like, All those screenshots are completely undoctored. As per the email exchange, Donald Trump walked straight into a door and left his nose print on it, like fucking slapstick style, specifically because he was interested in the underage girls on the other side of the door. Imagine if a reporter asks Donald Trump about this. They have, I think. And he said something like, I'm very mad at you for bringing it up. Don't ask about it anymore. It's such a disgrace that you're talking about it, really. I think that was like, to some degree, that was like his response. Sorry, I went on a whole editing me. Please edit that out if you're if you're there. Now that I've gone on that whole tangent about I don't know, like microbiology or whatever the fuck, to the extent that I know anything about it, anyways. Let's talk more about the Epstein stuff. I think there wasn't much left in my analysis that I wanted to emphasize, because I think I said like the core of what I wanted to say, which is that like obviously Trump isn't gonna like go to prison for this, right? Because he's too wealthy and powerful for that to happen. We know how society works. We know that, it's an unfortunate reality, but a reality nonetheless. That powerful people never really see the inside of a prison cell for their misdeeds. All the same, this is one of the most politically toxic things that could ever come from a person or government. There's no way around that. And Trump's name is all over it. Even if it never goes to a court of law and he never goes to prison, his ass did that. His ass did, in fact, molest and rape children. His ass did get so fixated on the 14-year-old girls that he walked his face straight into a glass door and left a cartoon-ass nose print on the door, right? His ass was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein until they had a falling out over fighting over the same group of 14-year-old girls to rape, right? I'm going to have to censor so fucking much of this if I want YouTube to... Nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is that, like, I think the Republicans are probably going to be pretty done with Trump after this. Like, Trump doesn't have much of a future in politics as a brand. You're just going to have the classic beep sound effect? Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to censor it somehow. Yeah, Trump will probably live out the rest of his days as president or as some sort of politically relevant figure, but the Republican Party has to try to separate from him at this point. And I think that presents a major inflection point for like politics in America and stuff. It's interesting because I like legitimately I don't know what is going to happen, but I actually don't think that the Republican Party survives this. Not cleanly, you know? I was talking to some people off stream about this. But like it's possible that the labels of Republican and Democrat, like the general symbology and phrasing of like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, whatever, survives this. I genuinely don't think the Republican Party in its current form actually survives this. I think this is a political crisis for them that's large enough in magnitude that the base is going to be disillusioned enough for the party to, by and large, detach themselves from Donald Trump. Maybe not the whole base, but there's going to be a lot more infighting. And I think that the way that Trump goes out of politics is not with a bang, but like with a whimper, kind of. And whatever else happens, one thing I'm very firm on, what I'm very comfortable predicting, is I think this leaves the Republican Party in a pretty directionless state, right? They're going to have to spend the next several years or potentially decades learning from the populists on the left and how to combat the seemingly unstoppable front of progressives that is very interested in The sorry, I fucking lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Yes, the Republicans are going to left pretty directionless. They're going to be stuck in a spot of trying to respond to like the progressives that have really surged with respect to Mamdani, with respect to Katie Wilson in Seattle. And there's going to be a lot changing around in politics because like so much of the old guard of neoliberals and neoconservatives from the 1980s and 90s were part of this like pedophile sex trafficking ring run by John Pedophilia himself, you know? And that's sort of not going to be a viable affiliation to have in politics anymore. Yeah, both parties are going to be an absolute train wreck over the next several decades. Also, I have somehow kept Nidoran alive this whole time. I mean, Pop Tarts, they do look a little bit like that. But yeah, huge things happening in politics. It is like genuinely is kind of crazy. To borrow just some cliche nothing speak from other content creators. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great watching the news cycles where progressives, through both not being evil and not having these toxic associations to Jeffrey Epstein, kind of wrench control of the narrative potentially. It's just, I think it's just the only thing I can take away from this is that old Donny Boy is in fact going to have a hard time politically wriggling his way out of this one, and I think the Republicans are starting to see that writing on the wall. And it's just an interesting ass time to be in politics right now. Grab your popcorn. You'll love what happens next. Hopefully, this is one time I personally really hope that the nothing ever happens bros are not correct. Because if nothing happens as a result, like truly, if nothing changes because of this, if there isn't even the slightest change in political winds, it might actually be over. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that like this brand is well and truly toxic, and we're going to start seeing the slow death of the Epstein Republicans, shall we say. Unless I find something else, end the segment there, future me. Yeah, okay. Noah models, which Syed tells Epstein in an email. Here, let's take a look at this one. Just some extra icing on the pedophilic cake that Trump is so deeply implicated in all this. Noah models, which Syed tells Epstein in an email used to scout for Trump, is featured in this 2011 PBS documentary, Girl Model, about modeling scouts recruiting girls as young as 13 in Siberia and the predatory results. Great friend of mine rented huge house in Ibiza, so invited lots of girls from Russia, all models, because they will be doing the shootings down there for several magazines, with an great scout named Tigraine. I'm guessing this is very broken because like English second language. Used to scout for Trump, but he doesn't work for him anymore. He's coming with 12 girls for week 22nd of July, then 13 others second week from the 10th, from the something to 5th of August. He would like to meet you. I just called Jean-Luc to see with him if he can come too. That would be great to build this network for MC2. My best regards. This was Daniel Sayed to Jeffrey Epstein. This is a modeling agency that worked for Trump. Trump used a modeling agency that hired and used 13-year-old girls for modeling. Great. So confirmed that Trump was deep in this shit. Like, again, it wasn't even like it wasn't a secret, but like just this is just another one for the road. Who's been trying so hard for nothing to happen. Oh yeah, they want so badly for nothing to happen as a result of any of this shit. Here, let's swap this. I want to start swapping items so I have something to sell when I go back to town. I might actually go through a few more of these just for the fuck of it, just for the fun of it. Larry Summers, very good. He was 64 when he had this email exchange with Epstein. Talked on the phone, then I can't talk later. Don't think I can talk tomorrow. So, where are you up to? She said, I'm busy. Wait, what the fuck? Is he talking about like a relationship with an underage girl? That's. Ignore the okay, wow. All right, yeah, just the most pedophilic emails imaginable. I'll zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. There you go. I'm not reading that shit. I mean, I read it in my head. I'm not reading that shit out loud. You guys can take a second to look at that if you want. Feel free to pause for a few seconds, but I'm gonna move on right about now. Craziest email because all the victims were super clear about the second floor in Epstein's mansion. That's where the massages and abuse took place. So it's pretty clear others were using that space for the special cake too, and Trump was one of them. Unreal. Don't want to come early to find Trump in your house. Did they mention the second floor here? Yes, they do. Okay, hold up. Should I bring special cake from New York? This is probably their code for like underage girls or some shit. Just send me the address again and the code to the door so I can get to the second floor. Send me the day and time. Thanks. You're welcome to my house always and more private. Why are these redacted? Oh, they don't know either. But yeah, this Epstein client's name is redacted. I assume this is the work of the Republicans potentially. One of the reasons that the Republicans shut down the government and kept it shut down for so long was so that they could go and redact names from the Epstein files. This is the same as what we saw earlier. Oh yeah, okay. Unbelievable. After Trump was like supremely implicated in the Epstein files as like hanging out with underage girls on the sex crime floor of Jeffrey Epstein's house. Literally the floor where all the sex crimes and abuses of minors happened. Trump was hanging out there with minors. And then the White House posts this. Just a video of Trump with some kids. Brother, this is... Thank you, Red and Black Salamander. This is not this is not the based and epic social media post that you think it is. This is another one of those like, hey, that'll show them. And then everybody looks at this and I'm sitting here thinking, why did you think it was a good idea to post this? You know? Thank you, White House Twitter account. Oh yeah, here's more evidence. By the way, like I was saying earlier, the New York Times is deeply implicated in this too. It appears this email from the New York Times that this email. Excuse me, I can't read. It appears from this email below that a New York Times reporter is tipping Jeffrey Epstein off about an NYPD investigation in 2017. Has the NY Times commented on this anywhere? No, because they're evil and they don't care. Oh, it's Landon Thomas Jr. again. The same fucking guy. Again, these people deserve to be locked up, and the key ought to be thrown away. For the reasons that I outlined earlier. He is digging around again, not clear if it's another book or expanded paperback version. Was asking me all sorts of questions about why you hired Ken Starr. I told him I had no idea. I think he's doing some Trump-related digging info. Anyway, for what it's worth. Sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. New York Times reporter tipping off Jeffrey Epstein that the NYPD is investigating him. Hey, tread lightly. They're looking for your stuff, so better hide all your incriminating pedophile shit. Thank you, New York Times. Trump is in the files. Email from Epstein to Maxwell released by the State House Oversight Committee. Oh yeah, we saw this one earlier. The dog that hasn't barked is Trump. This victim spent hours at my house with him on the second floor, mind you. We saw that other email on the fucking pedophile sex crime floor of the house. The room that was for that. Never once been mentioned. This is the craziest one yet. And it doesn't even... Okay. Making more sense why Trump doesn't want the files released. This email is, well, Mark Epstein emailed Jeffrey Epstein on March 21st, 2018, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Bubba is Bill Clinton. I need to see this to believe it. I'm zooming in. Fuck. Not that much. Okay, the text is really small. No, wait. Okay. I'm gonna be fucking searching for so long to find that specific one again. Okay, this is it. All right. From Mark Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein. Rather be in Donnie D's shoes, you mean Donnie T? You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. I don't want to know. Sent via tin can and string. I thought I had Cirrus. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. My fucking god. All good, Bannon with me. How are you doing? A while back you mentioned that you were pre-diabetic. Has anything changed with that? What is your boy Donald up to now? Please note. Your boy Donald. Mark Epstein wrote, yo, how's your boy Donnie? Your best friend, dude. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. This email is Jeffrey Epstein discussing the purchase of a 747 by Qatar in 2012. The 747 given to Trump. Whoa, wait, hold on a second. This is another weirdly, like, important one. This email is Jeffrey Epstein discussing the purchase of a 747, that's an airplane, by Qatar in 2012. The 747 jet given to Trump by Qatar this year was purchased by them in 2012. Boeing deal. Okay, this is really long, but this, okay, yes, they are talking about exchanging Boeing 727 and 747. I actually don't know if they fly 727s anymore. Actually, extremely funny if Jeffrey Epstein bought that like Qatar bought an airplane from Jeffrey Epstein and then gave it to Trump potentially to like remind him that we're still running in this social circle. That's really interesting. That actually takes on a new light. Trump accepting that jet from Qatar now. You know? You gotta wonder if he did that to prevent them from spilling the dirt on him early. You know? Um, actually, a discussion of selling Epstein's 727 to Qatar. Then why do they mention the 747 too? It does look like, for what it's worth, it does look like they're primarily talking about a 727. Where do they mention the 747? Okay. Bruce Jafari, who's current Boeing 727 captain, lived in Doha for 2 years, familiar with the international operations of Boeing 727 aircraft. Jafari currently lives in California, ready for a new opportunity. Bruce, current in the Boeing 27, also flew captain on the Boeing 747. Okay, call me crazy, but I think that this is also that, like, this is still them referring to a Boeing that they bought from Jeffrey Epstein, or that Jeffrey Epstein bought from them, right? You wouldn't refer to an airplane as the 747 unless there's a specific one. Just grammatically, that's how it works. There's a specific one in reference that you're thinking about, right? If somebody is a captain that currently flies a 747 and is trained to fly a 747, if you were referring to a specific plane, you would say the 747. But if you were just referring to them flying 747s, you would refer to a 747 in general terms. This is not them referring to it in general terms. This captain also flew captain on the Boeing 747, which means this might not be discussing the exact purchase, but there is some specific airplane, some specific 747 jet that both Jeffrey Epstein and Qatar have common enough reference to just drop it as the 747, just as a throwaway. You know, when talking about the Boeing 727, which, yeah, I guess to this person's credit, that is what it seems like they are primarily talking about. However, it seems like they are also referring to a 747, a specific one that Qatar bought from Jeffrey Epstein either earlier this year or the prior year. Given that this is early in 2012, maybe it's 2011. Either way, there's a little bit of lefty misinfo happening. Nonetheless, interesting that it's possible the 747 that Qatar gifted to Donald Trump is the same one that Jeffrey Epstein sold to them a decade and change prior. Michael Wolff, total piece of shit. Email 3 is Wolff coaching Epstein on how to get favors for Trump. Who's Michael Wolff again? I know he's a piece of shit and that he's an author, but I don't remember who exactly. Michael Wolff? Oh, he even looks like a piece of shit. Great, thank you. Okay, number 3. Direct correspondence between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff. I think you should let him hang himself. This is from Wolff. I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. If it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it's possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you. So this was like 4 years before Jeffrey Epstein was killed. This was back in 2015 during the early days of the presidential campaign. But I'm going to find one more like really interesting one and then I'll go back to the game. Ooh, a thread? Let's go. Hold up. You guys might like this. I might like this. Lots of VIP names mentioned in this Epstein email. Let's go through them. A thread. Peter Thiel, top of the list, possibly most evil person alive, stiff competition these days. That's true. Larry Summers, who wanted to be Fed chair, but it was eventually passed over by Trump. Kathy Rumor. Let's see. Rumler. Doesn't look like you're prioritizing your schedule very effectively. How are you going to manage all that? Is this Unga week so the boss will be in town? This is Unga week so boss will be in town too. I don't even want to know what half of this shit is code for. I'll be here all week. You may get sick of me. Just sat down on the train, so can't talk freely. Jeffrey E. Girls, careful. I will renew an old habit this week. Teal, Summers, Bill Burns, Gordon Brown, Jaglin, Council of Europe and Noble Chairman, Mongolia President, Hardy Pure, Boris Gates, Jabor, Qatar, Sultan, Dubai, Koslin, Harvard. Dude, he's just naming everybody. Icon Black, Woody, you're welcome guest at any. Also, if you think there are interesting people in town, everyone here for Climate Summit, Clinton Security Council. Holy shit, I'm on whatever for the next 30 minutes. Great. Okay, that's all right. Most girls do not have to worry about this crap. Kathy Rumler. Bill Burns, former CIA director and Russian ambassador, obvious connections. Gordon Brown, former prime minister of Britain. Thorbjorn Jagland, former chairman of Nobel Committee, who was turfed in disgrace. Elbidor Tsahya, who was serving as president of Mongolia, Harvard educated. Jabar's a bit trickier, but was most likely Hamad bin Jabar, who was Qatari prime minister 2007 to 13. Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who has been ruler of Dubai since 2006. So no surprise, there are petrostate connections there. Stephen Koslin, former dean at Harvard. Big influencer in cognitive science. Leon Black. That is something that you don't want to fucking hear. Oh, yeah. Thought leader in cognitive sciences. Also friends to Jeffrey Epstein. Great. Leon Black, billionaire, private equity. I could have told you that one. Private equity billionaire being associated with Epstein. Who'd have thunk it? Woody, hard to say for sure, but I guess it's going to be Woody Allen. We know what he's all about. Quite the list. Okay. Yeah, that's a good, like, pretty large number of powerful people. And then add to that this fucker, Tom Barack, Michael Wolff, Donald Trump, the Clintons, fucking Larry Summers. And I think Stephen Bannon as well has some relationship to all this. They've mentioned him a couple times, but I don't want to like parrot that without knowing what I'm talking about necessarily. Oh yeah, wait, here. Mark Epstein asked his brother Jeffrey about whether Steve Bannon could confirm. Okay, whether Steve Bannon could confirm if Putin has the photo of Trump blowing Bubba. I thought I had Suris. The Yiddish term for troubles. Okay. I see. It's not confirmed. Yeah, okay. So it's not confirmed who Bubba is, but Bill Clinton is widely known by that nickname. The allegation that Putin possesses images of oral sex between Trump and Clinton points to the potential compromise and blackmail Russia may hold, whether Epstein supplied it. I see. Okay, yeah, that's fucking insane. Hey, did you enjoy the fucking whatever the fuck has been happening over the past 48 hours? Did you enjoy that? Refill your popcorn. You're going to love what happens in the next several weeks. And I feel like I'm going to love it too, probably.
Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.